How do you actually know what's working within your entertainment career? How do you actually know what's working within your business, your life overall? Well, you've got to monitor it, don't you? You've got to track it and you've got to check your numbers. A few people listening to this little mini Just a Tip podcast today, Aidan, will be thinking, oh no, I do that. I monitor my ad spends. I know which piece of advertising works, which pieces doesn't work, but really it goes beyond that. We've got to be monitoring and checking the numbers on everything, even down to maybe how long we actually spend, like tracking our time spent on maybe doing emails, maybe doing phone calls, going down to these specific links, actually checking our conversion rates on phone calls. How many gigs can we convert on the phone? All of these numbers we have to track. Why? Because we can find out what's working, what's not working, and really double down on the work we are doing.
It's so important to focus on actually doing what works. As you guessed by today's episode title, Do What Works. We want you guys to start doing what works, and that really does have to come from knowing the numbers and understanding what actually works and being able to see it. Heck, for example, very recently we started tracking our time and our workload for TSM and everything that was going on, and we were surprised and amazed at the fact that once we prepared all of this information, we got our total hours over the last couple of weeks, and we looked at the systems that we could put in place and the tasks that we could get rid of or delegate, that XDS process, that delete, delegate, systematize, for people who aren't familiar with the XDS approach. But we looked at that and we was able to shave off nearly 40% of our time each. That's madness. And the reason we could do that is because we are getting obsessive over this stuff. We know what we're doing. We're tracking that. We know what the biggest ROI is. We know what tasks are actually giving benefit, what are high leverage tasks versus what are low leverage admin that we don't actually need to do. And all of that stuff has come from such a clear vision point. And now, once you've got all of those numbers and you start tracking it for a week, a month, 6 months, however long you want, start doing something about it. And really 80-20 in your workload is going to be so important. And for those that aren't familiar with the 80-20 rule, that's the idea, or Pareto's principle, for some other people that might have heard it through that means. But essentially, it involves the idea or the concept that 20% of your input should equal 80% of your output. In other words, 20% of the things that you do should equate to 80% of the results you get. Whether you want to look at that in terms of clients, 20% of your clients can actually give you 80% of your overall benefits, whether that's income or anything else like that, or 20% of the tasks, or 20% of the social media posts, or the whatever the heck it is, insert the 20% there. And really look at actually what that 80% is on the outset. What can you do? What are the high leverage things, the most important things, those building blocks that will give you the biggest return of investment, that reap the rewards on the other side?
100%. And for those of you who listened to last week's Just a Tip episode, Less is More, you'll know the power of doing less so that you don't get trapped in that hustle culture. This is a way and a step to becoming hustle-free and really thriving within your entertainment career. This is so important. And I just want to add on to what you said. It wasn't just the fact we managed to shave 40% of the time that we was actually putting in. But there were so many things which we identified, which those little meaningless tasks which you think at the time like, oh, this is just something I can do easy. We forget about how many of those we actually do. And when we tracked all of this, it stacked up and we went, oh my goodness, I didn't realise that this was such a big thing. For example, some people, emails. I know that you've said to me in the past, checking emails is something which is like, oh yeah, I do it. But once you do it multiple times throughout the day, that can start eating and be quite a big chunk of your day. And if you're monitoring this, tracking the numbers, you can really identify there's a problem there. But, I want to go on to something further. If we're tracking everything here, and we identify something that doesn't work, what are we going to do with it? We can pivot and try something new. If there's anything that 2020 has shown us within business, it's the importance of pivoting. If there's a problem, if there's a barrier, if there's something in the way, we've got to change direction. We've got to be nimble on our feet, move to some other direction. Heck, I done it with virtual entertainment, and look at me now, my career has taken off. I don't want to say that to inflate my ego, even though I have a massive ego, a massive head, but I really say it to just prove a point. If you don't pivot, you get stagnant, and then you get stuck being busy, doing the things that don't really work and don't have the highest results. But if you can pivot, and if you're not scared to really take that change, and sometimes that involves going a step beyond what everyone else might be doing. Everything else amongst your friends, they might be saying, oh, this is the best way to market, this is the best way to do this. And you're like, well, actually, from what I've been monitoring here and what I've been tracking here, I know I've got to be doing this. And it's completely wacko, completely out there. But at the end of the day, if you're the only one doing that, you stand out, you're different, and you know it's going to work because you're the only one tracking this bleeding stuff in the first place, and then that's going to further your career. This is such an important thing to really do, guys. You come across something when you're tracking these numbers, you identify something that's not working, pivot, change direction. Don't become rigid in those foundations. Always move, always adapt where you can.
I think what's really important as well is that this process and of actually being vigilant over what it is that is you're doing, the numbers you're tracking, this is such a task of self-discipline. You really have to be vigilant with yourself over this. I know that from our end, when we started tracking our time, we kind of tracked a bit here and there, and it actually wasn't helpful at all because we didn't have an overview at all. If anything, we were wasting our time by tracking our time. So we actually then lent into that and tracked pretty much every minute of our waking day to work out what the heck are we doing, when are we doing it, all of those things. And that self-discipline that we had then was able to, well, that essentially gave us all the numbers, all the stats, all the metrics, everything that we needed to know to say, right, okay, here's how we're going to save time and actually get more out of it. Here's how we're going to do amazing things and improve our entertainment businesses, for example, by doing an awful lot less or just focusing on what matters the most. And the big thing here is that, especially in conjunction with our last few episodes in terms of getting hustle-free, getting out of the business and kind of just focusing on the high-leverage stuff, a lot of people are going to think, oh yeah, okay, that's fine. I don't really do much anyway, and yeah, I don't get it. And if you're like that, you're in two minds, or you're stuck on one way of thinking, please make sure that whatever you choose to do from here, whether it is cut a load of projects or just focus and double down on what works, you're playing to your strengths, not the strategy. We talk about this a lot, especially through our program Learn to Thrive. We actually look at making sure that you're playing to your strengths in whatever area possible, rather than just the strategy. Don't get stuck creating 3 TikTok videos a day because you think that might get you some leads or some inquiries. If you're not very good at quick TikTok videos, or if it takes you forever, that is not a strength. Instead, if maybe you're a writer, maybe blogging is a good idea for you. Maybe if you like creating videos, maybe YouTube is a good idea for you. Maybe you just like having conversations with people, in which case, go and have more conversations. Don't let the strategy of what works take over your personal strengths in a situation, because strengths outshine strategy every single day of the week.
There we go. And if there's something which you really want to take away from this episode, it's that. Track everything, play to your strengths, have fun, more importantly. Just enjoy the process. Just enjoy it. That is the main thing. And it's as easy as that. It can sound difficult and it can sound daunting. Like, oh, track everything, do this, do this, do this. But at the end of the day, the benefits, we know firsthand what the benefits are. We know that it works, and we're now having more fun in what we do within Magic, within Mentalism, within our entertainment businesses, within our other businesses, because we've done this. We've identified what works, what doesn't work, so we can really go ahead and focus on that.
I think what's also really important, just as a final thing, is it will sound daunting for a lot of people, because it is. So instead, actually doubling down and focusing on maybe one thing. What is the one thing that you're actually going to track starting today, effective immediately? Are you going to track your time and what you're doing, the tasks and the time it's taking to do them? Are you going to track your social media views, if that's the approach you want to take? What is it that you're going to track? What is that one number that you're going to start with that's going to get you into this? Because it's a habit, it's a way of life, it's a way of thinking, if you like, to really make sure that you're doubling down and checking in with everything, and check in every week as well. Like we do this in our meetings, we call it Mission X Reason being, it sounds cool. But essentially at Mission X, we jump in and we check all of our numbers, we check all of our stats, we check and make sure that we're doing what works. So maybe schedule yourself a Mission X of your own kind and actually put that in your calendar and work out that one thing that you're going to start tracking for at least a month. At least a month. And with that said, thanks for jumping in and listening to this episode. It's really important stuff here. And if you want more of this and you want us to share and dive a little bit deeper about maybe our experiences or how to actually do this properly, reach out, let us know. Come and join us over at thesuccessfulmentalist.com/community, and you'll be able to sign up and join our awesome kick-ass community of like-minded performers that are changing the way the entertainment world sees this whole thing that we call entertainment as a career. Any final words, Ashley?
Have fun and remember, do what works.